You're watching Every Days and Saturdays, USCC Veteran. Let's go, baby. And here's your host, Bryan. What's going on, friends and family? Welcome back to another great day, another great interview. And super excited for my next guest because it wouldn't be a regular season if I didn't have him on. But before we get started, if you guys hadn't had the chance, go check out the website, EDASUSMCvet.com. You can go check out all the previous seasons that we've had and all the recent ones that we're now releasing, as well as you can check out nonprofit organizations and veteran-owned businesses as well. And hope you guys are having an amazing 2025. Check out this awesome new backdrop I have. It is really cool. It pretty much entails all the different groups that I have on here. It is a really cool thing that I got from Christmas. Special thank you to my sister. Thank you, sis. And yeah, I'm excited for this next season. Also, we got new t-shirts, guys. Check them out. Oh, let's see. Got that some little bit of some merch. If you want to get a t-shirt, it's $30. That includes shipping, and you can choose whatever color you want. What I did is I got the printout or whatever, so I just get the shirts and I press them on, and bada bing, I'll ship them out to you with some love, and I'll give you a little card with some crayon writing on it. But let's not make our guest wait any longer. Back in the stage, eating his crayons. He's currently still serving in the United States Marine Corps. He's still kicking ass for us. He's a gunnery sergeant. He's Gunnery Sergeant Cruz. And if you guys follow on TikTok, he's a pretty big influencer over there on the TikTok side. And he goes by Jonas the Mad Hatter. And I've had him on an interview 5, 8, and 53. So, and without further ado, here he is in the flesh. What up, brother?
Man? What's up,
man?
I love everything in the background. Like every time I come, there's something always changing. So,
bro, we just try to improve and get better as we go. That's just what the Marine Corps taught me. I still
I need
carrying
to see
it
the
on.
merch again. I need to see that merch again. Like, let me see that shirt again.
You like this?
It's a fire. It's a fire ass design, man. It's
bro.
fire.
I mean, and when I put it on the show, I was just like, oh my gosh, I love it. So I'm excited that I got that. Kind of was fishing out, seeing what people thought, and there's a lot of people out there that liked them. I was pretty shocked. So we're gonna try to maybe get some hats going and some nice little stickers. I have a whole little place on my desk that I just put mad stickers. So I'm like a sticker whore, I guess. I don't know.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Bro, man, so dude, we've had you on. The original first interview I had you on was number 5, and I think it was audio still at that point.
Yes.
And that was back February 28, 2023, man. So by the time yours airs, it'll be about 2 years out. So how awesome is it to have you here again? And then after that, we had you on at number 8. So I guess I was like so excited to have you on. 3 episodes, 3 interviews later, had you on. That was March 22nd, 2023. And then the last time you were on here was for interview 53, and that was back January 24th of 2024. So it's been a year, bro. It's been a year. So I imagine a lot of things have changed for you. I imagine this episode, guys, we're going to be all over the place because, I love Jonas the Mad Hatter. I love Gunny. He's just, man, good dude. And we have some great conversations. And before we even got on here, we already killed like about 40 minutes. So, and we probably had a lot of, goddamn, we probably had a lot of good content in there that whole time too. So, but hey, brother, the floor is now yours, man. Let us know what the hell you've been up to. And, talk about the Marine Corps ball too, bro. Cause I got to vicariously, live through you. And you're laughing, bro. So I imagine you were that staff NCO out there doing the Running Man and shit. So let's hear about it, bro. Let's
So
hear
hold
about
on.
what's going
What
on.
when was episode 3? So that way I know like where we're left off with the storyline.
So it was a year ago, bro. January 24th, 2024. So literally, dude, you know, you could run us through what happened for 2024.
So from 2024, from the last episode, because the first 2 episodes I remember, uh, we were going so long winded. We were like, all right, we're going to cut it and we're going to do a part 2. So that's where episode number 2 came from, because
Yep.
we always get long winded, right? I think we schedule for an hour and we're like, hey, we're like at an hour and 30 minutes. We're going to have to cut short.
Yeah,
Um,
it happens real fast.
I know. I mean, we just did 40 minutes before we even start recording. So from a year, a lot has changed a lot, to be honest. So I finished my master's degree. I know that we've been talking about my master's degree in the previous episodes.
Hell
So I
yeah,
finally
bro.
finished that this past
Congrats.
March. Uh, my wife started her business in 23. Uh, I think for when we did the episode, I think we only had one potential client. So now, right now, we're sitting at 12 or
Wow,
10,
good.
somewhere around that number. So the business is booming. I started working with Irreverent Warriors at the national level. I'm volunteering with their social media team. So myself plus Kyle, we kind of like run the page together. But if you go to any of the East Coast Irreverent Warrior hikes, you might find me. You might see some fat dude that's running back and forth with the camera. That's possibly me. uh,
He got
it's
that
yeah.
gunny body now.
Hey man, it's that shit from the depot. Unless you have like one of those jobs that you're afforded the time to go to like 3 or 4 hours a day to the gym, which I do not have, and I will make this. I'm going to piss a lot of people off when I say this. I'm one of the guys that actually work. All right, so, all right. I don't show up at 9 and leave at 3 o'clock. No, like I'm there, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. Uh, but yeah, it definitely does a shift on your body if you're not like grinding like you used to before. And then let's see what else happened last year. I also started working with another veteran organization called the Veteran Business Collective, which is an organization that brings small business owners in the veteran community to be able to leverage. It's kind of like a BNI, pretty much, and try to like leverage as much as possible each other's business. So, like, I have one of my buddies. Like, thanks to him, my my page on TikTok has grown a lot because he's into the social media networking, and helps out other people. And like, I bounce one idea from him, like, hey man, I have this idea, and my Tales from the Trenches episode just caught wildfire. So
Sure did.
if
Yeah,
there
man.
was
I'd be checking them out myself. I love them.
yeah, so
Your
that
stories are
kind of
just great, bro. You're a great storyteller too, you know. So
so that really caught. This year is actually when the page finally, I guess, got niched. So so the TikTok page is going fairly well too as well. And it's evolving now, because not only are we doing Tales from the Trenches, but now we're also including Tales from the Fleet, which those oddly enough, people are very invested in those as well. um what else have we done from a year now? I changed spots from my previous billet. We've gone through numerous inspections, and now we are getting ready to go on another deployment. So I think, like, when I did my first interview with you, I was kind of coming out of the deployment that we just came off. So now you're getting me like pre going to deployment. So
boy, that's gotta be fun.
yeah, another boat ride,
As
man.
a gunny, you know what I mean? All the preparation for deployments is there's a lot of preparation that goes into it. And I imagine at the staff NCO later NCO level, you
It's
better not miss fucking something on that checklist. You know what I mean?
It's been kind of hectic at work. I'll tell you that I've been putting in. My wife gets so mad. She
You got
is
some good NCOs, man, that you know, kind of you got a good cushion, or is
no.
there not much of a cushion between you and your
So right now, where my current billet that I'm doing right now, I'm maintenance control. So right now, we only have like one sergeant that's underneath us, but other than that, it's a whole bunch of gunnies. There's like one, two, three, four gunnies. So you can imagine what having four gunnies in one section is like. It's like having lance corporals. Like we are constantly roasting each other, and to the point, it's
I've been to
it's
a
pretty.
unit like that where it was very heavy on the staff NCOs, bro. Like master sergeants, gunnies. You know, it's like, fuck, this sucks.
So yeah, it's
The
it kind of
ratio.
it kind of sucks just a little bit. But other than that, when you look across like the squadron level, there's a lot of, I want to say like 85% of the guys have not deployed or never been on deployment. There's a lot of first term Marines there. So there's a lot of growing pains with it. A lot of growing pains I've been
What?
putting
How long you
in
guys got
and
to go
out.
for? Is this 6 months or a year?
So this one we just chopped last month. So we should be some point in the, don't want to give like certain timelines, but some point in dirt further down the road of this year, we'll be going doing another trip in the waters, another boat ride. So yeah,
Mew?
yes,
Oh boy.
another Mew.
Is it
Can't
a fun Mew or not a fun Mew?
what? Tell me what Mew has a good story.
Anyone that maybe has a port stop. If you can stop at some ports and you get a little limo,
Yeah.
you know, those are okay. Other than that, every time I was on ship, fool, they still fucking found a way to PT the fuck out of us. And then we had to go fuck with vehicles or do this or clean this or that. You know, gosh, damn, being on that ship.
So the only
Mm-mm.
thing that I'm looking forward on this boat ride
You get sick on
is
that? Do you get sick or no?
who, me myself?
Yeah.
It just depends, man. It's like some days it's like the only thing that really messes me up is my sleep schedule. But the only thing that I'm looking for this specific deployment is the Chiefs mess. Everybody's been talking about the Chiefs mess and how great it is and the food and everything else. I'm like, I want to know what this mystical
Oh,
place
you've never
is.
been? Have you never been on a ship before?
No, I've been on the ship, but I've never been to the Chiefs mess, which
Oh,
is like the
oh yeah. I've never made it the Chiefs mess either, but yeah, they're. I mean, even this the regular food is not bad on a ship
uh,
at all.
I don't know what ship you've been because God, like Midrats is like it's pretty gruesome. All right, either you're living off of ramen from
Maybe
the
we were
ship
hungry. I
store.
don't know, Doc. Cause fuck, man. We ate pretty good on this. It was called the Pearl Harbor. I don't know. It was a nice ship, but it was an
Yeah.
exercise too. We didn't, you know, ours was more of an exercise, so it's not like we
Okay.
had to go out on a 6 month stick. It was more like we went out for 10 days, and then we had to do an amphibious landing and fucking set up weird area support, all this stuff. Like,
Yeah, so for us, like we did our last one up to the Baltics, which our ship was the first one to go to the Baltics, or not the Baltics, but up to Arctic Circle in I think like
ooh,
50 years.
no
It
shit.
was cold, brother. When I tell you it
Yeah,
was cold, it was
negative.
cold.
Probably some negative fucking temperatures there, bro.
Well, we went kind of like by the time we made it to Arctic Circle, it was like roughly around May. So it was like roughly like in the 15, 20s, 25s. Like it was cold. So by the time it would make it like 35 degrees, like, yo, bro, like we were there in Norway for like a month. Like it hit 35 degrees. We're outside in shorts and freaking sandals. It's like, ah, man, it's fucking hot outside, bro. It's like, and we're talking about 35 degrees. It was pretty brutal, man. I'm
Did you
not
guys ever
gonna
hit
lie,
rough
man.
waters and shit out there or nah?
The what?
Did you guys ever hit rough waters out there
Oh,
at
absolutely, man.
nighttime and shit?
I remember one time, dude, like there was we're like sound asleep, and all of a sudden you just hear this loud boom, and you're like bro, like everyone jumped out of their racks, like what the hell just happened, right? And like everyone's just like looking at each other, like, is everyone all right? And then all of a sudden you just hear another whoop, and you're like, oh shit, what the hell's happening?
Shit, like
So
motherfucking
we all start
Titanic
getting dressed
happening,
up because
dog.
Like, and we're just like look at each other like, what's going on? And again, you just hear like, whoa, and you're like, okay, they haven't said vampire, 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 so okay, it's the waters, right? And so like we all get dressed up because like at that point, like your sleep is all fucked up, and you go out there to like station 5, like the smoke pit, and you're just seeing the like, oh, you can't go to the smoke pit. I'm like, why not? Because the whole rocking and the
Swells.
wells of the swells are all the way up there, and it's like, okay. So then you go like outside like the little catways where you're not supposed to be at nighttime, but you like open it up and you're just seeing the water just coming up and splashing up there like, oh shit, bro. Like the waters are rough. And like everything's going like side to side, and it's like, yeah. Not fun.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
fun,
man.
man.
Yeah, I remember hitting some rough waters even when we were out there. They had those fucking straps too that you had to put, connect with your little coffin that you sleep in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like the only thing
ship
I
life sucks,
really
dude.
did love about being on sea were the thunderstorms, especially being up there up north. Because like the sky just looks beautiful, man. You just see all that lightning just go trickle down on the sky, and it's like, bro, like Odin himself is gonna come out of this bitch and just start fucking shit up, bro.
Ah. So, dude, like as a staff NCO, do you get better fucking sleeping quarters and shit? I mean,
uh,
or are you still in the coffins?
I don't know, it's a gunny, but as a staff sergeant that I went, it's a little bit more secluded, so it's just only the staff sergeants in the berthings, but you're mixed up with the GCE, the ACE, the LCE. So everybody's mixed up, right? And they kind of like try to divide it. They try to put the CE and the LCE in one berthing, and then they'll put like the ground elements and then the ACE in a separate one. The spacing is pretty much the same in regards to the rack. It's not like you're getting a lot more room to where you sleep at, but I will say, uh, E5 and below, man, like my heart goes out to them because I don't know why, at a weekly basis, their toilets were clogged. Don't ask me how, but like you would see the sailors, they'll come in, then plug them. There's like socks down there. I'm like, bro, like if you need to wipe your ass, like why don't you just grab tissue paper? Like you're wiping your ass with socks. Like what the fuck, dude? Or skivvy shorts. Like come on,
Fucking
bro.
Marines could get a little barbaric. You know what I mean? These fools
That's
got
not
no
barbaric,
shame.
bro. I'm like, bro, like you get out like out of your showers and then now you're pissing on shit water. It's like, come on, bro. Like that ain't it. So at least as a staff sergeant, you didn't have to deal with it. Now as a gunny, I won't know how it is. I do know for my last float that the gunnies were bitching because they didn't have no hot water, so that you had the gunnies go into our
The
berthing to the
fucking
E6
well, you
berthing.
still do the Navy showers, right? Where you just spray them,
No, no, no. They
or
have
did
like
they have full?
yeah, they have regular shower heads. So
Oh well,
it's
fuck yeah! On the one I was on, we had to take Navy showers, is what they called them. And what a Navy shower was is they give you one of those ones that you push the button and it
yeah.
fucking sprays out. But you had to like get yourself wet, turn it off,
Mm.
lather yourself up, then rinse yourself off, and then call it a day. But all cold fucking water. So you want it to be fast as fuck, anyways.
Yeah, we only get like cold water whenever we would hit port. That's like, you only get like I guess like the ship has like reduced capabilities in regards to like water and shit. So it's like, man, like you only have like hot water from this time to this time, and you gotta like conserve it, and like, hey, you can only use the laundry rooms from this time to this time. It's like, bro, like I gotta do laundry like right now. Like I'm on my last freaking skivvies, bro. They're like, nope, nope, you gotta wait. And then it's
You're
like,
wearing
okay,
some
what day is it
brown
today? It's like,
brown brown covered ones now, bro.
yeah, I know, bro. So it's I don't know. It's kind of weird, man. But we'll see how this next float is. Going as a gunny, don't have now. I have a little bit more leeway with the chiefs, right? You know how if you are not a chief on a ship, then you ain't shit, or an E7 in this case, So
So what does a
uh,
typical ship life look like for you guys while you guys are out there? What are the things that you guys got to do, or is it just fucking hey, out of sight, out of mind?
no,
Fools
dude.
be in there playing spades and shit. Because I mean, that's where I learned how to play spades is on the
I
ship.
I wish, dude. Like, no, we. So this is
Work,
the thing
work,
about the
work.
air wing. that a lot of people don't understand, right? Like it doesn't matter if you're deployed, if you're on ship, or you're in garrison, you're working the same amount of hours, right? And I think that's where like grunts really get a real appreciation of the air wing when they're like always there. Like you guys are like always working, like regardless of we're import, non import, like you guys are always like fixing the aircraft. You're always doing something. And it's it's nonstop, man. It's nonstop. Like the Marines are working around the clock, like
Do you guys have
24.
shifts? Do you have shifts with them or
Yeah.
something like that? Like, like 12-hour, 8-hour shifts or something?
So you have like 24-hour operations. At least one you're on deployment. So you have your day crew, you have your night crew, and
Right.
they're working 12 on, 12 off. So it's it's the nature of the beast, right? Because again, like no, I don't think any commander is going to accept it to be like, hey, why don't you your readiness now, or why is the aircraft are not up? Oh, because the Marines are taking a break. They're tired. Like, no, fuck no. Like we need the aircraft. So
Yeah.
um,
And not only that, but aircraft is carrying someone's life in it as well. You know what I mean? So it's an officer that's gonna be flying that plane, and his life is in your guys' hands, so to speak. So and dude, there's not a lot to do out at sea anyways. It's not like this is some fucking, cruise line, right? Um, our luxury of anything that we ever did was pull out the table. Let's get the cards going,
oh
and
no.
then we're just sitting there fucking playing spades. If we had any little ounce of time, if we made it away from the staff sergeant real quick, or he'd be like, "Hey, what the fuck you guys doing? We got shit to do out here," like, oh, damn it.
Nah, for us, and it's crazy, man, because like you would think like staff and COs, like, okay, it gets a little bit more relaxing. Not in the air wing, man. Like we so a typical
Because yeah, a lot of
sergeant.
people do think. I mean, when people talk about air wing, they always talk about, oh yeah, man, they got it fucking waxed, dude.
Oh no, it ain't swinging with the wing, man. Like I'm telling you, man. Like if
No,
you are a competent gunny or a really good staff sergeant, bro, like your happy ass is getting poured out working on the aircraft while you're also dealing with all the administrative stuff. So you are like by far being a staff sergeant is by far the worst rank, right? Because one, you're getting questioned about absolutely everything. You got all these other responsibilities, right? You went from being a sergeant, CDQ, which is a collateral duty and inspector, or collateral duty quality assurance representative, a CDQAR, which those are like God's gift to the air wing, right? They'll go and they go inspect the aircraft, and they are the ones that deem if the aircraft is good or not, right? So they'll do the task, they'll inspect it, it's good, right? And no one questions whatever they say, right? If it's a sergeant. But staff sergeant with the same qualification goes in there, and they're going to ask them like, oh, the aircraft is down, but did you check this? Did we check any of the
AOG, we
other
got an
alternatives?
AOG.
I'm like, bro, I would make this call as a sergeant like a week ago. I just picked up staff sergeant like yesterday, and I'm making the same call, and you're questioning me like if it's up or down. Like, well, staff sergeant, find me a different alternative, like so we could get this aircraft up in the air. I'm like, bro. So it's a very different dynamic. Like staff and COs in the air wing definitely um get hounded down. We see a lot of guys that, and I see this a lot. Like you'll see like a couple NCOs that lap move into the air wing, and they're fucking lost in the sauce, right? They're like holy shit, this is very different from the ground side. Like usually I'll tell my PFCs Lance Corporals go. And I'm in here. I'm seeing like the Lance Corporals and the PFCs are like lost as fuck, right? And all they just do is carry toolboxes, and it's like the sergeants and the corporals that are doing all this fucking work and are like freaking balls deep, and they're like sweating, and they're the ones grinding. Like, what the fuck did I get myself into? I'm like, yeah, bro, welcome to the fucking air wing. Grab the fucking toolbox because you're going to be their fucking tool bitch until you fucking learn how to do the fucking maintenance, bro. So
Yeah.
it's
I
kind of
learned
like
a lot. I learned a lot when I went into working aerospace after the Marine Corps, and that made me really fucking learn about how important it is and how tedious of a job it is. And even in the aircraft world where they're actually building the aircraft from the ground up, it's the same thing though. Like the seasoned mechanics, they're like a dime a dozen, right? And then those guys always get moved to a different program. The more the program that's more demanding, and then these other programs they get all the new dudes, right? Because and some of them don't get it, man. I mean, some of these jobs are very tedious, and you got to get in there in small areas. You got to torque. You got to do all kinds of things. I mean, I definitely learned that in the air wing, it's in the aircraft industry in general. There's schedule. There's all kinds of things that you're up against, right? Because you know those officers they get an itinerary and stuff, and you got to fucking meet their itinerary. If it says that they're getting on a 09 flight, motherfucking that fucking thing better be ready
Yep.
by fucking 0800. You know what I mean?
And now my role, right? So now my current bill is maintenance control. So I dictate, what the other shops are doing, right? And um, a lot of the
So do they
guys,
give you guys like jobs or something? Like each and every day, is there like a job? Like, hey, here's the
no.
job. You got to go fix this, or here's this.
So
You get
so this is my
orders.
job. This is kind of like why I say like I'm putting in like 12, 13, 14 hour days, right? So I'll look at what the requirement is, right? The officers or ops, right? They'll make the monthly plan or the weekly plan, right? And they'll say on the weekly plan like, hey, next week we want to fly this day. We want to fly 2 aircraft, or we want to fly 4 aircraft. We have a division, we have a section. We want to do this type of planning, right? And then they'll look at us maintenance and say like, how many aircraft can you give us? And that's where we start like jumping through hoops and looking at like, hey, what's our readiness right now? And we start planning like, okay, I have this aircraft that is down, but if I do this maintenance, I can have this aircraft up and plug in for the schedule. But there's so many factors that go into that because you gotta look at the scheduled maintenance that you mentioned, right? I gotta look at the scheduled maintenance that I have. How many flight hours does every aircraft have? Because if I fly a lot one specific aircraft is going to go through an inspection phase, which is going to be down for a very long time until that inspection is done, and depending on what discrepancies you find or whatnot. So you have to start doing that planning phase. So I'll come in the morning, I'll look at the weekly plan. Hey, what do we have? What do we want? What do we have planned out? And this is what we need to accomplish to meet these requirements, right? I have my master sergeant that he's like looking at 2, 3, 4, 6 months ahead, right? So he's like looking at the larger projects of like, hey, these are the aircraft that we have to plan in this order. So that way it doesn't affect, so that way they can trickle down and do all these inspections and all the requirements, and we still have readiness so we can still plug in. So there's a lot of plan that goes behind, and then it's up to us like on a daily basis, like, hey, I need you to work on these aircraft and this and this and that. The issue that you do run into is like if you do not have leaders that are engaged in those work centers, whenever you pretty much give them their five paragraph order, like, hey, I'm tasking you out, I need you to accomplish this. If they do not like understand the planning that goes behind it or why we're doing it, or they go OFP, which is the good majority of the time that happens, like they go OFP, um, it impacts that mission that we have. And I know like a lot of the maintainers will think to themselves like, you know what, fuck this, because the aircraft are always broken or this and that. But it's like the mentality like, hey bro, what pays the bills are flight hours, bro. Like
Yeah.
if you do not fly these aircraft, like you ain't getting shit from it. So
Do you guys do engineering changes as well, or do they even have engineering changes?
yes, so that's what we consider our technical directives, right? And there's like two, right? And the best way how I like to consider it is like you have the upgrades and then or mods, and then you have like what are recalls for the car industry. Um, we have that as bulletins that come out. So you
Like
might
say
have
you like say like something bad and you find out it's on the flight line, you guys got to put all AOG like all aircraft on the ground and fix those.
so
Do you
you'll
guys
get
have those situations where you ever ground the whole
so yeah,
fleet of them because they have a bad part in them? You know,
so yes, so you do have those that come out, and like the most recently we just went through the red stripe. You pretty sure that you're aware of the the Osprey red stripe that was at the beginning of 2000 or the end of 2003 going to 2004, and like every Osprey was down for uh, the issues that was going on with the aircraft. Um, and that was, you know, waiting for the investigation to be over, waiting for Congress to be like, hey, you guys are good to go back to flying after you conduct all these inspections and make sure that these components are good or bad, or these inspections or verify these serial numbers or whatever that they require you to ask, right? Not trying to go into detail,
Sure.
but pretty much that does come out. And kind of like part of my job, like I have to like be looking, make sure like no changes come out or any bulletins that you have to go review, because again, this is an aircraft that once it goes up in the air, if there's something bad, you can't say like, hey, can you park over here in the cloud so we can verify this? Like, no, like once this comes out, it's like, hey, this is, you got to go out and do this no matter what's going on. You have to go and inspect that. So and that also has to go into your planning. And sometimes like you might have a mission that, hey, I want to this day, they want to fly 2 aircraft, and then you're going to have to say like, hey, we can't support because this came out of nowhere, or this came out this morning, and this is what we have to execute. Sorry, you can't fly.
So, what are the different aircrafts that the Marines that we are responsible for? Do we have any F-35 Stovall units that you guys do? You guys maintenance those, or does that who
So
usually maintenances the F-35 versions that are the Marine Corps version? I think it's Stovall B.
so the F-35s are, so every unit, so like Osprey units will only care for
The
whatever
Osprey.
your MOS is. That's what you're going to
So,
be
so
maintaining.
okay, so that's how you guys are determined right off rip. Like right out of boot camp, you guys come in and they already determine what kind of mechanic you are. You're not going to
No.
just go to aircraft job, or do they determine for you like, all right, we need X amount of Osprey, we need F-35, or whatever different.
So how it kind of works out, you go through the pipeline, right? It starts with the recruiter. He'll get you a 6,000 for aircraft mechanic. You get the 6,000, you'll go MCT, and then MCT, they'll kind of like divide it like, all right, so you guys are going to go to Pensacola, or you guys will go over here, and kind of like divide it. The ones that go to Pensacola, they go through further on training, and from there they'll split it. At the end of Pensacola, they'll split the guys, at least for airframers, they'll split them like, hey, either you're going to go to intermediate activities, which is I level, or you're going to go to organizational activities, which is O level. Which the ones that are watching this, O level means that it is like a plug and play. Like I'll remove the component off the aircraft, I'm going to put the new component in, right? The eye level, they're going to take that component that just got removed from the aircraft, and they're going to fix the actual component itself if it's still salvageable, whatever repair it needs, and then put it back onto the shelf until the L level needs a brand new part, and then they'll pull that new part back. Um, after Pensacola, they'll go to your separate schools, which is your specialty. That's usually like where you're gonna get your MOS afterwards. So they'll say like, hey, you're a structurals mechanic, so you're going to be a structural mechanic or a hydraulic mechanic, and you're going to be for CH-53s. You're going to be for Ospreys. Hey, you guys are going to go jets for F-18s. You're going to go for Harriers. You're going to go for F-35s. So after that, that's where you go into your specialty of what your specific aircraft is going to be. Now, one of the cool things is depending on how cool your mu is, right? Sometimes you'll have guys that will cross train and maybe like learn other aircraft, because you have guys that are, as I said, like CDQs that, they're very smart about their aircraft and they've pretty much mastered it. And they just want to go and learn a different aircraft because, well, to be honest, if you're a mechanic, you're going to find another aircraft interesting, right? Like for myself, I look at a skid and I'm going to be like, well, that aircraft is interesting. It looks like a little toy little aircraft because how small and compact it is, right? Or if I look at 53, I'm like, this is a beast. This is a monster because it's double the size of an Osprey. So,
Damn, that's cool, man. I mean, and do is it common or uncommon for them to like, hey, we need more mechanics over here, so we're gonna train some of your guys and
oh
we're gonna
no,
have them come over here, or whatever you're trained for, bro. That because I
that's it.
mean, and it probably takes a little time for these guys to learn their jobs, anyways, right? So why go throw them into some other thing? I mean, what's
So,
a typical learning curve for do you guys have that? Do you guys have that kind of figured out? What's the learning curve for a new guy? Like how long is it
Yes.
before he's kind of efficient for you guys and you're getting a bang for your buck?
So I can talk for so for my experience, right? For airframers, right? They typically take roughly like year and a half where you are confident on like, hey bro, I need you to go do this job. And he can go and work that job with little supervision, right? And
So
then
your Lance Coolies usually are pretty. I mean, at this stage in time, some of them are
kind of
okay.
so not even like your lance corporals, because you got to think about by the time that if they left as a contract PFC leaving boot camp, they're already lance corporal when they arrive to the fleet. So
Right. Yeah,
sometimes
that's
that
true.
lance corporal becomes a corporal, and that corporal still not
Ain't
know his
ready.
shit, right?
Yeah.
Or not ready. And really depends on how hungry that individual is, right? Because I have lance corporals that, bro, these dudes are hungry. They're staying late because we have to take a lot of tests, right? And you'll see that they'll stay after work. They're reading the pubs. They're trying to learn their craftsmanship because again, they're going to get quizzed by their NCOs. Like, hey, what's this? Like, hey, what's the PSI for this? Like, how much is the oil level for this? Like, how do you have to service this? If this happens on the aircraft, what are your troubleshooting procedures, right? And they have to be able to answer that off the rip, like super quick. If they're not confident, then I'm not going to sign you off that you were proficient in something, right? Um, so roughly, I want to say like year and a half. That's when you start looking at them to become a collateral duty inspector, or what we call a CDI for short. And those are like your first line of defense that they're going to
Kind of like
inspect.
quality inspectors.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they're like the quality inspectors. I mean, they are quality inspectors,
QA.
but
Yeah.
they are restricted. They cannot inspect every single component on the aircraft, right? And that's for airframes. If you look at other sections like avionics, it might take a lot longer because that world in itself is
Dealing with way more like components and yeah, like technical stuff right there, right?
so theirs is more about troubleshooting, right?
Yeah,
And
technical.
understanding it's extremely technical and it's very complex. It's really it's a whole different world. Like you might say like,
You got to have a
well,
brain for it.
yeah, you might say like, oh, well, what's the difference? Like, well, it's like looking at it's really different when you say that you have a hydraulic leak and you can see the leak and you know where the problem is, to say like you have a short on this cable. Now you have to see like where in this whole harness there's a short, and they have to pin and do like a whole bunch of stuff, right? And that's if that fixes a problem. And sometimes the problem doesn't happen on ground. Like you need to fly the aircraft to be able to find the problem that the aircraft happens. So
Oh, I hate
there's
to
a
be a
lot
test
of
pilot,
things.
bro. Ugh.
Yeah, so there's a lot of work that goes on there. And then you have Flightline, which is very mechanical because they deal with a lot of the blades and a lot of stuff that are mechanical to the aircraft. So and the engines, right, and combustion and everything else. So theirs is roughly like year and a half. So it really depends on the MOS and how hungry the guys are at.
And I
So
don't think people understand how complex a flight line is. Like learning the rules of a flight line, and knowing what the letters, the numbers all represent, in certain areas where you cannot be. I mean, there's just so much to learn when it comes, because even when I worked in the aerospace industry, that we had to take flight line courses if we even took a step out there to the flight line. You had to take a whole course about it.
well, not only that, like you gotta think about like the our aviation is very similar to the FAA and all the programs and safety programs they have. We have roughly around, I want to say like 43 programs under the NAP, the Naval Aviation Maintenance Program. There's like 43 programs, give or take, right? And that is your lifeline. That is your Bible. Like if you break one of the rules, it's like breaking one of the 10 commandments, pretty much, right? And you're pretty much going to combust in flames.
Right.
Um, and you have and You gotta think about it. Like, not only does that Marine, that young Lance Corporal, has to learn his job, but he has to know all these different regulations that we are governed, so you don't break any of the rules. Like, hey, if you're dealing with hazmat, you have to have your PPE. Hey, if you are dealing with this, with with electrical stuff, you need to make sure that you put a lockout tool, or you have to do this, or you have to do that, or you need to ensure this. So there you have all these rules and regulations that these lance corporals are just getting bombarded with all this information, right? So this is why I say, like,
Definitely
usually, like,
overloaded.
yeah, they get bombarded with all this information. They're getting so overwhelmed, right? And the difference between a civilian that works in aviation and a Marine that works in aviation is like, you still have to take care of your green side.
Right.
And it's like, I actually had like the aviation staff and COs had a couple of gripes with our current squadron guns, because they're like, in this big fuss, like, hey, I had half the Marines show up for a field day and I want them to show up on the weekend. I'm like, no, the Marines
Mm.
are not going to show up on the fucking weekend because they were supporting flight operations. I don't give a fuck about your fucking field day. We need to take care of flights. And she was like, nope, this is fucking field day. I'm fucking sick and tired of the maintenance Marines not giving a fuck about what happens to basic Marine shit. I'm like, listen, man, like, I get it. I get what you're saying. But I'll tell you what, if you and me, we go up to the CEO and we tell the Marine, the CEO, like, hey, we're going to cancel this flight because the Marines are need to make it to fucking field day, he's probably going to Spartan kick me in the chest.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah. So
Schedule, you never have any excuse against schedule. They got to meet a schedule, their jobs depend on that, right? And
yeah. So
what is it? What is this? What is the CEO going to go tell the general? Um, they had field day.
yeah,
Sorry,
like,
it's just a Marine thing to do. We had to
yeah,
we had to
like,
do field day.
yeah, like, imagine, like, the lieutenant colonel telling the colonel, like, hey, why's your ranking so down? Like, oh, the Marines had to stop doing maintenance because, they had to attend field day. Like, how do you say that? Like, and then going to up to the CG, like, how do you tell them, like, hey, the Marines need to go field day? Like, no, man, like,
At that level, they ain't
yes,
even trying to hear that, man. That's like field day.
yeah,
What the fuck are you guys talking about? Like,
like, we need we need readiness. So, and it's kind of hard, especially like talking with, because right now I'm doing PME as well, and like I kind of like express some of the things that we go in aviation, and all the other guys look at me like, I am so glad I'm not there. I'm like, yeah, bro. Like, and we tell them like everything, and they're like, fuck that, dude. I do not want your job. It sounds like it sucks. I'm like, yeah, it sucks, man. Like,
any job that has basically a 24-hour fucking shift is gonna suck ass, right?
yeah,
Because that's there's no time for fucking even sometimes when I'm sure it comes to holidays and shit. Like, I know the Marine Corps tries to, is nice about giving their 72s and 96s up, but sometimes you even still need a skeleton crew to even fucking stand. I mean, the barracks still got duty. The battalion still got duty. I mean, shit don't stop in the Marine Corps.
yeah,
And a lot of people don't realize that. Like, oh well, the Christmas. Well, I mean, you don't join the Marine Corps for fucking holidays, like
yeah. I mean, it's, again, like, liberty is a privilege. It's not a right. If
how
the
many times
CEO
have I
said,
heard that in my life? I don't know, but
yeah,
yeah.
and it
Staying
is right.
for a weekend doing field days too. I mean, if the fucking gunny feels kind of like you ain't gonna do something, you are a Marine and you are owned by that entity, and so I'm
Yeah,
shocked though that guys just didn't show up for fucking field day though. But I
yeah,
mean, if they had the work to do, they had work to do. If that's different than if a guy's just out gaffing off and on libo, like, oh, why aren't the Marines here cleaning? Oh, because they're out there fucking off in town. What? Okay,
yeah. Like,
that's a
that's
different thing.
different,
Mission
right?
critical versus fucking libo.
Yeah. So and that's kind of like the things that I kind of like explain to my fellow peer about it, but also, like, to the gunnies and the PME, like, hey, there's things that because we do a lot of case studies. Like we were talking about, like, hey, they want to. There's this case study in the good majority where, like, yeah, we would have NJP this Marine. I'm like, I 100% would not NJP the Marine. You're telling me that the Marine only showed up late to PT because he's a single parent, right? But shows up on time for work and does a good job.
And
I
dude, you
went,
know what? That dumbass page 11 could be the detour of whether that guy decided to fucking re-enlist or
yeah,
not either, because he could be like, man, I'm done. You know what? Fuck this. I'm done. I've been giving my life to these motherfuckers and they're fucking squabbling over fucking, me being 10 minutes late to formation or whatever. Now, they're making a huge deal out of it. That is where I feel like sometimes in the Marine Corps, bro, they fucking they push the envelope. It's like,
yeah.
hey,
So
dog, you could handle little things in house with your Marines and do it in a way that's not going to fuck their career up, and then they're going to also say, I'm done, dog. I got my fucking. I don't feel like starting all over. I don't feel like retaining my fucking rank or this or that and the other. I'm out now. And when that guy could have been a fucking dude that they could have had for years to come.
yeah,
You know,
and
so
it's like, yeah, that Marine might have that issue now, but if you mentor or work around, like, hey, you can't show up because you have issues because guess what? You decide that you want to do PT at 5:30, but the CDC doesn't open up till 05:45. Like, whose fault is it really? Oh, well, it's the Marine's fault because he decided to pop the kid. Like, no, you probably should not be. You should probably not even be a leader because if that's the mentality, then you're pretty fucked in your own mentality, you know? So, like, I always like voice out like, hey, you being a leader, you should be able to serve your guys and help them out as much as possible, right? I'm not saying be a weak leader. I'm not saying call them, but I'm saying if there's some sort of circumstance, right? And if he can't make it, he can't make it. But guess what? Like if that Marine cares, he's going to figure out the way because guess what? I'm not going to drop no paperwork, but hey, if the Marine fails the PFT, I'm just going to be like, hey, like he's given the opportunity to come PT. He can't because he has some personal issues, but he needs to figure out how to still maintain the standard, which is your PFT, your CFT, your weight and height or height and weight standards. Like there are certain standards he has to maintain. If he doesn't make it, he doesn't make it. Now PT sessions and everything else, like that's
usually
something
they put
that
them
we
on
do as
remedial,
leaders.
and your ass will be running during lunch. That's how it worked in my fucking
Yeah.
unit.
So
If you fucked up, if you fell back and you got in the Humvee, your ass is gonna run at lunch too, dog. So I mean, motherfucking avoid the Humvee because they
yeah.
take your ass as soon as you get off the Humvee. They're just sitting the motherfucking there with a shit right in your name. We'll see you out. Ciao.
Yeah, man. And those are like the things, right? That that just makes the difference of a Marine that wants to stay in or want to get out. And
Now there's a
you
big
know,
difference, dude. There is Marines out there that are fucking just the guy that just can't get it right, and he's always fucking the world up for everybody. Those are the guys that make it really rough. Now, the dude that just fucking overslept his alarm, one day because he went a little hard last night, those are the guys I feel like sometimes I've seen them get fucked over, and then it really put them on a different trajectory. When I saw, like, I was like, damn, man, that dude was like a good Marine. And then they fucking just demoralized them. And then he didn't give a shit no more. You know what I mean? He literally didn't give a shit. And I saw that transformation, and I was just like, damn.
it
And I mean, I
happens a
got
lot.
made feel a lot that way too, where uh, in my earlier time when I was a PFC to probably Lance Corporal, when I picked up Lance Corporal, I already kind of I had a little bit more respect and stuff as a Lance Corporal because I was more always about my shit. But the way that I think I was treated a lot back then, bro, kind of made me fucking not really want to keep going. I could have made a career out of it my damn self. And when I look back at it, I wish I wouldn't have put so much faith into, like, all right, I really only got to see my first unit I went to was just put a real bad taste in my mouth. I was like, I can't fucking wait to get out of this bitch now. You know what I mean? Because these guys were just, the field days were outrageous. I mean, by the number. And then they kept failing us. One room, they would go into the first room and the gunny would go in the craziest orifice of the room and white glove it and just be like, boom, all barracks failed. And then we'd be there Friday night into Saturday morning, and then it just like, dude, man, oh, we're gonna do a wall to wall inventory this weekend, just because fucking we're gonna do a 3-count wall to wall on every location from fucking bins to bulk. So just clear your calendars. It's Friday, and then you get told that. You know what I mean? There's just so many things that they did that I get it, bro. Like, there's a certain level that we have to when you go into the military, you got to be ready for a certain psychological difference because you have to, because our enemies that we play against are not nice. They will fucking cut your head off with a dull blade. You know what I mean? So there is a level of toughness that they got to instill in you, right? But the fuckery of them, kind of like some of the guys that like they pick up rank, and then it goes to their dome, and they might have been a person in high school who got picked on and shit. Now they're going to take it out on every swinging dick below them and then demoralize them. Come pick up this trash in between my fucking legs, PFC. That kind of stuff happened to me, bro. And I'm just like, if I
Wow.
didn't have a good NCO who saw this guy trying to, rank me, I probably would have lost some rank that day myself, because I would have probably floored the son of a bitch, because the way he was treating me, bro. It was like, hey, man, I'm a fucking human being at the end of the day, dog. Like, I get the training part, but when you're going to sit there and, like, demoralize me, I ain't going to play your game, bud.
And that's the biggest thing, right? Like they'll like you'll have leaders that will like there's everything, right? There's good and bad,
Yeah,
and you'll have like the
absolutely.
leaders that demoralize them, and then when the Marines decide like, hey, I don't want to reenlist, now you're going to shame them for wanting to get out, and I'm like, but
That's
what did
that's
you?
the thing, too.
And I'm like, why
Yeah.
are you going to shame him? Like, oh, he's a fucking piece of shit. He wants to get out. Like, what? But why? There's no reason why you shame him. Like, I have this sergeant, Sergeant Bishop, amazing fucking Marine. I would give absolutely everything to have this Marine to re-enlist. Smart dude. I think by the time he gets out, he'll be done with his bachelor's degree. He's learned everything for his MOS. Super smart dude, right? And like he's leaving because
He's
honestly,
going to get
there's
paid better. He's going to get paid more on the outside world.
yeah, he's like, hey man, I don't find the challenge or the enjoyment of work anymore, and I want to go and and fulfill some other things. Can I shame a Marine for saying like I want to follow and pursue other goals in life and I don't want to be restricted to whatever the Marine Corps has? Like I can't shame him. You can't fault him. Like he's done everything that we've asked of him. He has excelled in absolutely everything. He's even been recognized by the community out here in the city of Jacksonville. And quite honestly, like I'm happy for you. It does it pain my heart? Like yes, I tell him every day, like I'm gonna fucking miss you. Yes, a gunny telling a sergeant like, hey bro, like when you leave, I'm gonna miss seeing you working on the aircraft. I'm gonna miss you like freaking seeing you mentor and guide your Marines because I know that you are the type of Marine that I would love to still see in the fleet, mentoring, grooming the guys to become that stellar Marine that what we need in the Marine Corps. Honestly, I feel like him leaving is a giant L for the Marine Corps, and because I know that that kid is a shining star wherever he goes, and wherever he goes, he's going to blossom, and everyone that's around him is going to grow, right? And you can't shame him.
No, and that's the hard part, man. I love the Marine Corps, and I always will, no matter what, dude. I mean, um, I know that every experience is going to be different from one Marine to the next, or even any service member at that. Um, but one thing I could tell you, man, is that the pride that comes with the title is amazing. It's just the hard part is that you kind of hit a ceiling, right? Like you really do. Certain ranks you can hit a ceiling where you can't really. It's hard to get promoted up to the next rank because there's only so many billets for that rank. This, that, and the other. So it really starts to hinder where the Marine Corps does start to lose out. They, how many good Marines have the Marine Corps probably lost? Tons. It happens to them all the time. Because we grow up. When we're young, bro, it all sounds good at first, dude. You get like getting your nice little paycheck.
Yep.
It's consistent. You have a place to stay. You can get food. You're pretty well taken care of. I mean, are you living lavish and fucking? No, but you're living. They keep you to where you can be comfortable, right? And maybe a little uncomfortable, but it's still something that's consistent in security. But what happens is then you start getting older, and then you start getting wiser, and then you start learning your trade really well, and then you start to learn like, oh, on the outside where I can get paid $80,000 a year starting off.
Yeah. Or you can see other stuff. Hey, there's more freedoms. Like I get it all the time from my wife
Yeah,
right now,
you don't
right?
got to
Like
shave. You know what I mean? There's just so you don't got to have a clean haircut.
I can
You don't got to.
travel.
Yeah, I mean, without having to go tell the world that you're going to go travel somewhere. Yeah, you're obviously it's hard, because you're part of something. Then they need you, and there's a level of some of that has to be there.
And
Because
it's like,
otherwise we wouldn't be warriors, bro. Like, I mean, we'd just be like the normal. This is what makes us different from everybody else is there's a level of training that we absolutely have to have, whether it's good or bad or moms America think it's horrible. It's
yeah.
necessary. It's absolutely necessary. And I think a lot of us got to experience that fucking, get in the Middle East and all that shit. Like, you start to learn like how important your training in was and why some of the things they do the way they did it, because bro, it's fucking, I can't even put it any other way. It is sucks. It all sucks. The Marine Corps just tries to teach you how to embrace that suck and get through it with the guy to your left and the gal to your right. You know what I mean?
And here's one of the most basic ones that every Marine bitches complain about, but it's so fucking effective. And it's your cyber awareness training. Every year you do the stupid cyber awareness. But how many people around you, they're civilians, right? They get their accounts hacked. Something happens with their accounts, right? They start touching sneaky links and everything else. I was actually talking with some dude earlier today. He was talking to me like, hey, like make sure don't touch any links. I'm like, all right, no, bro. Like we get training about this all the time. It's like what we were talking about earlier about scammers, right? Like the whole phishing stuff, right? About how we recognize who's a Marine or not, because again, there's millions of people that come up, especially during Christmas time frame, like, hey, I'm a veteran and I need money. I have all these kids. We were talking a lot about it earlier. And, it comes up to like, bro, you were never a veteran. You're just one of those scammers, right? But we get all these trainings, right, year round, and then automatically like, you're a scammer, bro. Like, I know the time period. It's Christmas. You come with the sob story, and when we ask you, like, hey, can you give us anything that can tell me that you're a veteran or not? Oh, you said that you're a Marine veteran. Like, all right, bro. I don't need to see a DD 214, but I'm going to ask you a question really quick. First female Marine. Oh, oh. I went boot camp a long time. Like, brother, ain't no way, ain't no Marine is going to tell me when I shoot them out like first female Marine or first Marine aviator that's not going to respond with a Opham A. Johnson or an A. Cunningham. Like, there's no way, man.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's certain things that we are pretty keen on, and you can study as much as you want, but there's a lot of things that like. It just kills me that there's people out there that want to, especially Marine Corps. And you think you're gonna go up against another Marine who lived and breathed the shit, and you're just some fucking actor who watched fucking Full Metal Jacket, and you think that now you know what the fuck the Marine Corps is, dude. It's a lifestyle. It's a whole way of living. We even have a whole different bylaws and laws that we have to kind of abide by. That's not just the civilian world. You still got to conduct yourself no matter what, when you're fucking enlisted as a Marine 24/7, 365, even when you're out on leave, they expect you. I know motherfuckers go full goat and all that, but you're still supposed to be uh clean shaved. You're supposed to be a Marine, like I said, 365 days a year. Um, so like the people that try to fake it, it kills me. And we're starting to run into this more and more. And I just ran into something today too, like a guy posing as a veteran-owned business, and the guy didn't realize that he had already hit me up once before, telling me that he was an Army veteran. And then the second time he hits me up is, hey, I found you on Instagram. And I'm like, dude, you kind of already, I'm looking through our, like, it literally has the fucking thread. And that's why I'm like, does this idiot not realize that he's already hit me up? Because I can see our whole conversation, and he's basically starting it off the same way, just months later. And this second time he told me that he's a retired second lieutenant. And I'm like, bro, in what world are we living in that there's a retired second lieutenant? I don't even know, dude. Like, I mean, like, do your homework a little bit, my guy. Like, Air Force too. He said he was Air Force. I'm just like,
brother, please.
you,
Well, it's
you
like I was
save
mentioning
yourself.
earlier, right? I just recently did a call out, and I was talking to the dude because he told us the whole story. Like, hey, this random account reached out to me, and tell me the story that he just recently got divorced and he's struggling financially. He has his 4 kids, and then does a complete breakdown of his finances to a complete stranger on the internet, right? Complete breakdown, right? And he's like, yeah, and I'm a veteran. I'm suffering PTSD. I'm very embarrassed. I don't want to show my face or anything else. So the dude's like, all right, so do you have Cash App? He's like, no, I don't have no Cash App. I'm like, huh. So the dude creates a Cash App, right, to do like the fundraising. Why he would do that, I don't know. And then
Boy, he
I
just created
guess
receipts to fucking use against
yeah.
himself.
So he created the Cash App and then takes the money out for the Cash App and does a whole live and gives the money to the dude, but there was no kids around, given like he's going through all this financial hardship and everything else. And I'm thinking to myself right now, like,
They're probably in it together, bro. Just
I'm like thinking to myself, like, when did he hit you up? The end of November. Okay, Christmas time frame. He gives you a sob story about Christmas. He doesn't have money for Christmas, gives you a breakdown, doesn't create a Cash App, doesn't create a GoFundMe. He wants to remain anonymous. When you went live, he doesn't want to show up in the camera. And the interaction was like 2 minutes. You got scammed, bro. Like it's the whole situation is a fucking scam. Like there's no way to put it, bro. Like, did you verify that the person was a veteran? Nope, brother.
dude, I watched a whole nonprofit organization get sunk by a fake guy. Um, the dude was on TikTok, got really popular, Army veteran. They were trying to do a raffle for a motorcycle, and this guy donated $10,000 and said like he had this extra money, and so he did this whole thing, and they had thought they had the money, and then he like had did something and withdrew it or whatever, and left them like high and dry. And then he had taken, I mean, they had like did all this raffle tickets on all this stuff, dude. It turned into a complete nightmare where the guy thought him out, and the guy ended up being a fake. He wasn't even an Army veteran. He wasn't a veteran at all. And it's just,
Wow.
man, these kind of things are really starting to get out of control a little bit. And it, we already as a community have our own problems, right? With being judged by others. We do not need any other negative light upon us where we got people faking and taking money from others and duping them, and that's why I'm a big believer in fucking exposing these fucks. I don't care, bro. I'm not trying to smear campaign nobody. And that's not the business I'm in. But if you are a fake, I am going to expose you because I don't want my brothers and sisters to get duped. And so I owe it to the community to expose the fakes, man. I mean, and we all do, really. If you get duped by someone, we should make sure everybody out there is aware that this person out here is out there scamming or trying to scam,
Yep.
people out there, and then
And here's the thing, like when we expose it, right? It's at the end of the day, it hurts our community, right? Because
it
at the end of
does.
the day, your brother or your sister to your left and right, they need that help, man. They need like, maybe like now people are going to be more hesitant, like, hey, I don't want to help out this nonprofit, or I don't want to give out money to this veteran because maybe it's a fake, right? And then that help doesn't arrive to that veteran and contributes to, again, to the 22 a day, right? Or what, 40 something a day now that the numbers increased. uh it's hard, man. It's so hard to fight, because there's so, and now with such social media being so prevalent, the GoFundMe's and all the fucking scamming that's going on a daily basis. And
Right.
people are good, like people are genuinely good, and they see a story and they want to help because people are generally good, and the 10% of evil people that are out there are taking advantage of those good people. And what you end up is all the good people end up being jaded because they got deceived.
And by their own community at sometimes, right? And that's the other
Yeah.
thing too is we've had that situation where guys get duped by their veteran community, and now they have a problem with it too. And dude, it's that's the part that makes it a little bit rough, right? Is when you get these fakers and stuff, because it makes it hard for everybody else. It makes it really hard for a lot of the ones out there. But I think there is a way that you can ask for help without like making it seem like you're just trying to get a handout. Like there's, hey man, is there any programs out there that can help me? Because that's the other thing. I'm aware of tons of veteran programs out there that are out there to help us. We are a statistic. Once you join, you become now a number in the system, right? As a veteran, and they will be tracking you from the day you get out until you die. They want to make sure that you're not living on the streets. They're going to find out if you are, then they're going to, your stat. Are you using VA assistance? They'll know every fucking thing about you, because once you join, bro, your Social Security is now owned by them. I know that because I'm a
Yeah.
veteran and I'm there. You know what I mean? Like they know all about me now, and they know how much I get paid, and they know where I live at all times. Um, so and the other thing that kind of gets me, dude, is we always want to put these labels on things, and then people try to go make money off of them, like the 22 a day. That's become more of a label. It's become a label that people have monetized and make money off of it, or in lieu of, to try to save 22 a day. Donate to us today, and we can get saved. You know what I mean? Like, um, I hope that's the truth, but some of these people are not doing it for the right reasons. I've had nonprofits on here that use veterans in the name of their nonprofit, but then I go, hey, bro, like, hey, do you got any testimonials that I can look at, or pictures even that show the veterans who've come through your organization and they've gotten help? Like, I mean, obviously, you would want to start kind of collecting testimonials,
Yeah, building
pictures, and
rapport.
things like that to show, hey, these are all the great things that we're doing. If you're genuinely saying we're saving lives, well, like, why don't you put some actual
Numbers,
numbers,
testimonials.
and faces behind that, right? Instead of just telling us what you're doing. Let's actually see some faces and hear from some people out there. And then when you can't sit there and I go and look through it, and it looks like you're just taking donations for us to feed your horses. For $19 a day, you can save a horse and save a veteran, or feed a horse and save a veteran. I was just like, it literally sounded as though I was watching one of those infomercials from back in the 80s and
Yeah.
90s, dog. Like, you can
and that,
save a child today for $19 a month, or a pet. You know what I mean? This
and
motherfucker
that's
said exactly that. If on YouTube, bro, it looked like one of those commercials. I wish I could play it, But
So so that's like one of the things that I do with Irreverent Warriors, right? Like I mentioned earlier, like I help
yeah,
out at
yeah, talk a little bit more about them as well. You know why we're
so
on it.
Irreverent Warrior is a nonprofit organization um that brings veterans together in humor and camaraderie to improve mental health and prevent veteran suicide. And if you see a group of veterans that are hiking around in silkies,
Some short
that's them.
shorts.
In short
Yeah.
shorts,
I've
playing
watched all
Backstreet
the videos. It
Boys.
looks like a great time, bro.
Playing Backstreet Boys, that's possibly them. And they're all around the world. You can always verify it in reverentwarriors.com. And look at their schedule. When's their hike? You have local coordinators that are volunteers. It's I want to say like 95%. I don't want to give a specific number, but they're all volunteers. The local coordinators, they're all volunteers. They take from their own time, look for sponsors and everything else to form up these hikes, to have a good hike for the veterans that are going to be participating in the hike, right? And I've been into what 9, 10. I think I'm going to give a conservative number, like 10 hikes, right? And out of those 10, I think I have gone and filmed, I want to say like 4 or 5 of them. I think I did like 5 this year. And it's great, man. Every time I go out there, I'm filming content, I'm doing the interviews. Some people it's like their first time, and I ask them like, "Hey, like, what's your experience for your first hike, and would you invite other people over?" And they're like, "Dude, this is freaking great. You know, you have active duty." And I'm very peaked with the active duty because usually you hear that in the veteran community about IW. You don't hear that much in active duty. And then like, yeah, I heard it through this Facebook page, or I saw it through the Instagram, or I saw this video pop up in my feed. It sounded interesting. It sounds like a good time, and I'm loving it. Right. It's same thing with veterans, right? It gives them that sense of purpose. Like, hey, like I'm not feeling okay, but you don't feel okay, but you're not judging me, and I'm not judging you, and I feel like I'm at home. I'm talking with people that understand where I'm coming from. And I'm not getting judged. I can vent out some of the stories that I capture, because you already know I love stories. Some of the stories that I capture on camera, uh, people like break down, bro. Like it's real. It's the
Yeah,
realest shit ever, man.
authentic
Uh, Authentic.
emotions.
There's one of the hikers, Leslie. uh, I captured the story of her husband that passed away a couple weeks after because he was battling cancer, and he passed away a
Mm.
couple weeks afterwards. And honestly, like after her husband passed away, she is so appreciative that I was able to capture that moment. And she'll always have that moment to see her husband in that 10, 15, 20-second frame. Um, and that's all it's about is capturing those stories, those testimonials. Like, what does it mean to be there, right? It's
Yeah,
not
because a
always
lot of
like,
great things happen on those hikes, bro. I mean, and so it's good that you're in there capturing those good moments because those are moments that would be left you know uncaptured. So it's
and,
good that you guys are capturing them now because like you just said, bro, how instrumental was that 1 15 20 second little frame now to someone who can now carry that with them and a memory she'll never forget.
and one of the things I get a lot from the hikers is like, hey, bro, like you are running absolutely everywhere. Because I'm not walking, I'm like sprinting back and forth, up and
Going
down
up
the
and down the line,
formation,
yeah.
up and down the line. I'll like see like sporadically something will catch my eye. I'm like, oh, that looks like a perfect point to like set up and just like shoot over there. So I'll sprint over there, out of breath, and people are like, dude, you are nonstop. Like you're motivating as hell. Like, how do you keep up? And I'm like, I'm here because of you guys.
This
Like I need
motherfucker
to
still's
capture.
got PFTs and shit. So you know what?
No, but I'm like, I need to capture this because this is your guys. Because afterwards, I'm going to do a recap on this, and this is for you guys. Like I'm doing this because of you guys. Like if it weren't for you guys and your service, like I wouldn't be here. Like you guys carried the torch, and now I carry the torch, and now I need to capture this moment because of you guys. Like I don't have a better way to explain it than that capturing their stories, telling their stories. Because guess what? Someone else is going through a suck, and by some mystery of God, they're gonna see that video, and they're gonna snap out of it. You know, at the end of the day, they're gonna snap out of it, and they're gonna be like, I want to check this organization out. I want to see what they're about because I mean, there's so many testimonials, bro. It's like so many testimonials of people that are about to off themselves, and something happened. They joined a hike. They found a group of people that understood. They have a new network. I mean, shit. Most of the people that I know from the community where I live at right now is thanks to the River Warrior hikes, right? Like, I met a couple people and we stayed in contact, and then they invited me to other veteran organizations around the town, and I like today I just received an award from one of the other nonprofit organizations, the Outstanding Active Duty Member, but I showed up like 30 minutes late to that meeting. But when I walked in with my wife, like everyone stopped in the room because, you know, I've been like so tasked out at work, like I haven't been able to go in any of the meetings. And when I finally showed up, everyone paused and just got up and just gave me a hug. You know, it felt like I'm back home. And that's what I feel that in Rever Warriors is, because every time you show up to the hike and I see everyone, I see the faces I recognize, and we just give each other like a big old hug, like, man, like it's so fucking good to see you. It's really sad after a hike because you get what's called the blues hike. You get the blues,
Yeah.
like, man, and you start looking at the
This is gonna
pictures, like,
end. This is gonna end.
yeah. So and
Yeah.
now you're like looking for the next year, like when's the next hike and everything else. So it's such a fucking great time, man. And the number of amazing people that you meet on the hike, and you can just be vulnerable and just talk about like normal stuff, man. That's like kind of like where you recharge yourself, and you know, it's just a great time, man.
Dude, I gotta ask you, bro, is things changing in terms of the way like things are going? Cause like or are you just kind of unique in this manner? Because a lot of active duty members, the one thing we don't ever think about is veteran community, right? We don't ever think about, oh shit, our next stop is now we're going to be veterans, and why we're in, we always look at veterans like, oh, fucking, they're in their, wearing they got tattoos and they're motivators and shit, all these things that we say while we're active. And then we get out and we end up fucking being the motherfuckers that we were talking about eventually, right? Like, it's just, I don't know if it's unique to you, or is it that you're starting to see a little bit more of the older generation kind of worrying about, because like, dude, what you're doing is in a way too is you're setting yourself up for when you get out. You're going to already have a home, right? A lot of us, when we go back or we get out, the biggest thing that we fucking end up starting to realize that we missed is that camaraderie and that fucking togetherness. And like, gosh damn, at least I was in this bullshit with this motherfucker or this motherfucker. You know what I mean? And we all had to do it together. Now, when you go home, I feel like a lot of us veterans, we distance ourselves as far away from the military as we can for a second. We're like trying to disassociate ourselves. We're trying to fit in with the civilians. We're trying to, do all those things. And then after a while, bro, you start to feel like I don't fit in with this group like I did when I was with my other brothers and sisters. And then a couple years into it, bro, you used to start like the loneliness kicks in, depression like really starts kicking in, the feeling of defeat because you're experiencing failure like no other. Because like when you're in the military, failure is really not an option. Failure was always deemed as unsuccessful. You're dead, mission failure, whatever. Um, so that transition for a lot of us is rough. Are you seeing the veteran community and you're kind of trying to help yourself soften that when you get out, or are you just, I mean, like, where's your mind with in that? Because I feel like that's not something that you see often, bro, is the
Yeah.
active duty community intermingling with the veteran community.
So I think a lot of it has to deal with what one I want to say 80% is my wife, because she constantly reminds me like I have an expiration date, and
Right.
although
Yes,
the
we
aim
all
is,
do.
yeah, like the aim is 20 years, just know I have another one of my boys, Andy, which was my neighbor. We lived next to each other for 7 years, right? I think he was already. I was a corporal when I moved in. He was a gunny, and we lived near each other for 7 years. And it was very surreal when he got out.
Yeah.
It's very surreal. Uh, and one of the things that he always told me, I mentioned this in the last episode, was like, hey, invest in your wife, and thank God I've been listening to him, right? Because now I know, like, by the time I get out, like, the business will be now stabilized, good, and everything else. But another thing that I start looking at is social media, right? The tells from the trenches, and everything else. Like, the good majority of the people that interact with my content are veterans,
Right.
you know, and like I get a lot of interaction with them, and it makes me think like, hey, what goes afterwards, right? Like, what's after the service, right? I'm talking with these guys, and these are the guys that always come back to the content. Like,
Because,
they're
bro,
always
we're
in the
trying to vicariously live through you. A lot of us like, a lot of us hate it while we are in it, but miss the fuck out of it while we're out of it. You know what I mean? Like, and so when we do come across someone like you who's giving us that insight of like, oh fuck, I love and miss those kind of stories, bro. Like the craziest shit that you ever hear humans do is, that's us Marines.
so one of the things is, I think that it's gotten me more interested is like that, going to all these other organizations, right? We build it up, the business and everything else. Irreverent Warriors, one of the guys, Matt, he invited me to go to this organization called the Veteran Business Collective, which they're all veterans, and they're all business owners. So now my wife, being a business owner, we got invited to go to one of the meetings, and a couple of the dudes that were sitting there recognized me, like, "Hey, you're the Mad Hatter." I was like awkward, because I'm like, "Yeah, I am," right? And we just connected so well. And I'm just like listening to all the veterans around me, and just like really click, like, this is my community. At the end of the fucking day, this is going to be my community. If I decide to retire from here, this is the people that I'm going to, like, wake up in the morning, we're going to go to the gym, and afterwards we're going to go eat a sandwich and coffee over here in this one local place over here, and then we're going to bullshit the rest of the day, or wherever it is, right? And I see the interaction in my local community, and I'm like, like I just popped the bubble, like, this is the reality. Like, we in the military, we live in this bubble, we talk about everything. Like, you have junior Marines come up to you like, hey, what's the process to get out? I don't fucking know about what's the process of getting out. I'm always planning on re-enlisting. I don't
Yeah.
know what it looks like
I
to get
haven't
out. I
even
don't
tried to
know about
check out once
transition.
yet.
So what I kind of like did was, this past year, I had a corporals course, the biggest corporals course I ever had. There was, like, I want to say, like, 70 plus corporals for that corporals course. But instead of doing the regular, board that says, like, okay, well, I'm going to bring freaking staff sergeants to talk about it, or gunnies, or E9s, E8s, fuck that shit. All right, I'm going to bring an SCA panel so they know about SCA, and I'm going to bring a veterans panel, because guess what? I know for a fact that 80% of those guys that are sitting there, they're probably not going to re-enlist, and they want to get out. And I want them to be successful. All right. It
Right.
can't be only mission success, and only for operations. All right, I need to set these guys up for success, right? These guys are planning to get out, then they need to get the information on what life is, after
Dude,
what's
and,
life
and,
after the
and
military.
once a Marine, always a Marine, right? So
Yes.
if they want us to carry that name on, they should set us up for some success so we can carry that name on.
So I set that board, that panel up, and every single corporal that I've talked to afterwards, that they find me or anything else, they'll come up to me and they'll be like, hey Gunny, like that corporal's course like was badass. The thing that I remember the most was the veteran panel. They all say the same thing. The thing that I got the most was the veteran panel. And some of the guys are re-enlisting, some of the guys are not re-enlisting, but they talked about a number of things, right? They talk about, hey, VA ratings, like if you're going to go to the VA, what you have to do, housing, like where you're going to live, like all these things that we don't think about. And then once we get out, and it's like we do not have the military to like take care of us anymore. Like we have to like figure it out. And they got all that knowledge thanks to just interacting with them. And I tell my guys all the time, like, you all need to like leave the barracks, go to the American Legion, go to something, and start acting, interacting with people in the local area. I tell my peers all the time, like they'll talk to me, and especially with my sergeant major, I'll talk with my sergeant major, with my mass sergeant, and with a couple gunnies, and I'll talk to them like, yeah, I'm participating in this, I'm participating in that. And they're like, "Wow, really? You're doing all that?" I'm like, "Yeah." So are you trying to get like an award or something? I'm like, "No, no, dude. I'm building a home, bro. Like I don't know what to tell you. I'm building a home. Like my plans is to retire from here and build my home. But if I don't start setting roots now, I'm going to find myself lost.
I
And
wouldn't
I
even
am
say
now.
you're building yourself a home, bro. You're actually making yourself a bed. And you're making yourself something to fall on instead of fucking falling on concrete and like a lot of us do or going below concrete. You know what I mean? Like that's what I was saying, dude. Is this unique to you or is this something that's new? Because I really think that what you're doing is should be the norm. It should be the practice. Because just like you said, dude, even if you fucking plan to be a 20-year plus guy, the Marine Corps only allows you to go so long. There's an age requirement. There's certain things like if you can't even perform your duty no more, bro, they'll send you off your way as well. Then we one thing that we're not good about is thinking about the what's next for us, right? Like we get very complacent. It gets easy to feel like, oh shit, I get a paycheck. But I'll tell you what, man, when that stops and goes away, the walls cave on you hella fast,
Yeah.
especially if you have no plan, So, um, what you're doing is, bro, you're setting yourself up to where you probably won't have to go through as much heartache as a lot of us do. We've
I
lost family members because of the way we act. You're holding a very good relationship with your wife and your kids. I know it's not easy, but gosh damn, you guys are doing it. You guys made it this far.
Yeah.
Um, you know what I mean? And it's not easy at all because the Marine Corps had a saying: if they wanted you to have wife and kids, they would have issued you them. So just like you said, you're going on a deployment. Your wife and kids, they've experienced that before, but they got to now run the whole household, completely without dad there. And it's a different way of living. A lot of people don't understand it because a lot of times our parents, maybe the only where they go is they go to their job and they come back home and they may go on some little vacation, but they don't go off for long periods of time. And bro, it's not like you guys can communicate that easy all the time either, bro. It's not like you're just like, and sometimes you're in different time zones. Your nights, they're mornings, and vice
Yeah.
versa. You just never know where you're at in the world.
Yeah. So I think like going back to your original question, like if it's unique to me, I don't think it's unique to me. I think there's other individuals like Kagan. I know Sergeant Major Bull. He does a lot of interacting with the guys that are still active duty and like kind of like takes them under their wing and tries
Yeah,
to help them out.
he's still tried to advocate for Marines and stuff
Yeah,
like that. That guy is holding his rank.
yeah. So it in a certain portion and everything else. I think that a lot of the guys that have embraced social media can see like what's on the other side of the fence and are trying to reach out and look at the other stuff. Like a perfect case is Ape, the drill instructor that was on TikTok, very popular for the last 2-3 years, right?
Yep,
uh and now he has transitioned to real
a
estate.
realtor. Yeah,
Yeah, and it's it was a really, really smooth transition, right? But I think like a lot of it is like the exposure of social media and seeing like what's beyond the fence and having that plan set, like what's beyond the fence has helped them a lot on that transition. I think like a lot of the service members that have been able to interact, engage with social media that, you know, are, I guess it pops that bubble that we're in the military, that this is all we know. And I kind of like see it with a lot of the with staff NCOs that don't use social media or don't interact or just, you know, like post stupid memes, but they don't do anything else beyond that and utilize social media like what it's supposed to be, which is a networking tool. um, they kind of like cut themselves short. So then when they find themselves that they're getting out, they're like, well, I have this plan. What's your plan? Well, I'm going to do this. And then they get out and they're like, find themselves like, okay, like the business is not going like it's supposed to. Like they're getting in trouble with their wives because they're drinking too much, or, you know, whatever the issue is. And now they find themselves because they failed at looking beyond on what's the fence. They failed in reaching out to veteran organizations while they were in, or continue with that disdain line, or, you know, like this whole thing between vet bros and active duty and whatnot. Like, bro, if you look at it, the vet bros, like actual vet bros, is like a 2%, man, like a 1%. It's not really every veteran, right? You can't put like all the veterans there, because the good majority of the veterans are trying to look out for each other and, you know, build this family and try to stay connected. You got to like the 1 or 2%, it'll be like,
You
oh
always
yeah,
have the shitty people in your community, bro. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
you always have the shady person, right? But you cannot blame a whole ass community that are trying to still have that purpose of helping each other out in the shit, right? Because everyone's still in the shit. You can't hold a whole entire community and, you know, take a minute, man. You don't know everything. Go ask a veteran, like, hey, what's life outside? Like, what do I need to know? What do I have to prepare myself, man? I just had like one of my sergeants, he just got out and he's just bombarding me with all this information. Like, he's like, hey brother, like, hey John, like you gotta make sure like you got this, and when you get out and start going medical and get this and get this documented. I'm like, thanks, man. Like, I appreciate you. And I look at him like, well, Danny, you're a whole ass veteran now. He's like, I know, you're my gunny. Now I just call you John. And I'm like, yeah, you a whole ass veteran now. Now I can tell you, fuck you.
Yeah, dude. You know, it's weird, the transition, right? Like, because when you're in, man, I know I can only speak from when I was in. I just know that we didn't ever look on the like when we were getting out, you know, and then when it's checkout time, you're still just like, hell yeah, I'm getting out of this motherfucker. But you don't even know what you're really getting out into, you know, until then you get out and you're just like, oh gosh, this is not the world that I used to live in. Now this is different. Now how do I, you know, get through all this shit? Um, you know, with as much education and stuff is out there now, you know, it'd be a shame for a lot of these guys to get out and repeat a lot of what we all kept doing. You know, when we're all sitting there like, hey, don't do this, go do this. You know, the stubborn ass motherfucking young me, I was like that too, bro. Like, oh, what do you mean? You know, I ain't gonna be like that. That ain't gonna be me. That ain't gonna be me. I ain't gonna feel like that. Well, dog, I mean, you know, and then shit when the world all of a sudden comes to you,
Yep.
it's foreign to you because you're just not used to it. And I that's why I like having a podcast show, right? Is to try to bring as much stories and experiences out as possible, and for people to talk about their experiences and what things were like. So hopefully, dude, there's some young person out there who's thinking about getting out, and we can help you prevent you from going through a lot of the mistakes that we all make when we first get out, man. Some of us really make some horrible decisions and we become horrible parents to our fucking kids, you know, because we don't, you know, we don't know any better, and we think that everybody's a recruit to us and things like that. You know, there's just certain things that I feel that we got to start to learn how to process it, because when you're young, dude, you're just taking on things because you're fucking, you got that ability and everything. But hey, man, age and stuff starts catching up with you, and all that training and all that those hikes and humps that you were doing with them 70-pound, 80-pound packs, you know, you're gonna feel it later, dog. Like, and things are gonna slow down, and you ain't gonna be that agile, mobile killing machine, and but that doesn't mean like we don't have any more purpose in our life, right? It's just that we got to learn how to start focusing our purpose in a different manner. I think that us veterans can really help our communities become a great community. We all go through diversity. We go through religion, all these things, but we find a way to not even talk about those things and get the mission done and live and exist with each other to the point of like, I'll die for this motherfucker to the left or right of me, you know? In our communities now, people hate each other. They're not happy for each other. They're jealous of the one other person. Um, I I think that there's a lot of veterans who are at home who could probably be getting involved more with their community and still have a purpose, right? And now your purpose has changed into where you're building up a tribe where you live, so you can now once again feel like you're in it with a person to a left and the right of you, but we get stuck and we want to go hide in our garages, or we want to seclude ourselves. I've been there. And I'm still not 100% always like, want to go out there all the time either. But I think that we can all learn more and more as we all talk about this kind of stuff, right? And we put it out there. And I think that you in the position that you're at, bro, you can start helping your younger guys too, man, because some of these staff NCOs don't get it, right? Like you like you just said, you never experienced checking out. I could tell you what it's like to re-enlist, but I really don't know what it's like to check
Yeah.
out, dog. Like, I've heard a couple people come and say they, I got to sign a fucking this little part right here, but I don't really know.
Yeah.
Like,
And I think it's changing now. Like I have like one of my boys, like Banter. He also does like drill instructor content. And I talk to him very frequently. And he tells me all the time, like I just love being able to make funny content and being able to interact with other people and like what's outside. And it makes me think, and we have like with other veterans too, like DDS Fun Times, right? He's a veteran that was a drill instructor. I love talking with that guy, dude. And if he doesn't post for like a week, I'll reach out to him.
Your guys' PI and
Yeah,
and
PI,
in San Diego Wars
yeah,
is great.
yeah, we started that, obviously super entertaining for anyone that's outside. They're like, oh my God, these guys are really beefing. But no, we're not beefing. We're creating content. And it's just such a beautiful chemistry seeing an active duty member and a veteran just collaborating and making this masterpiece, which y'all are enjoying, while we're all like calling each other like, hey, you're gonna make content like this. I'm thinking about doing this. Oh, perfect. All right. So you continuously doing that
Collab and
banter.
yeah,
But when you don't have that banter, like I reach out like, "Hey bro, are you good?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm just," or I'm not feeling good today, or I am feeling good, or I've been on vacation." And we're always constantly checking up, and he'll always tell me like, "Bro, like honestly, like thank you for like always checking up on me." I'm like, "Yeah, dude, because you're important to me. Like, of course I want to check up on you." And I think like that's, I don't want to talk to him, but like the feeling that I get is like, like while you're in the military, you always get someone to call up on you, right? You got like Gunny calls up on you, like, hey, are you good? Or you get that like Happy New Year's or Merry Christmas by someone, right? And then like you get out and you don't get that, right? So in a sense, like
the other thing
eh,
too, dog, is in the veteran world, like the active duty guys are like we all. I mean, like you guys are all like our heroes. Like we. I know for me, I have so much pride. Like my buddy's fucking son joined the Marine Corps, and we, now we're at Christmas Christmas get-togethers and stuff like that. Now he's a Marine, and it's like a whole different ball game because he's a fucking Marine. But um, like dude, it's just an amazing thing, right? Like the camaraderie and the even builds upon when we get out, and I can sit down, like you said, like anybody that's been a Marine, bro, we can literally just have the longest conversations ever. I mean,
I mean,
most of my
shit.
long shows are freaking with Marines. Dude, we're at an hour and 40 right now.
I know.
But no, man, you know what, dude? I love everything you're doing, bro. You're amazing. Um, you're amazing leader, and I love that you're displaying it too as well. Like you're very transparent. You with your social media, you open up, you have lives, you while you're washing the
Yep,
dishes
washing
and
all the
stuff. I
dishes,
mean,
man.
yeah, so you interact with a lot of people, and bro, a lot of active duty slash veterans can learn from you, bro. Like that it just because you're in now doesn't mean you can't go interact with the veteran world now, right? You doesn't mean you can't get involved now, because at one point in time you're going to be a part of that community whether you like it or not, and you're gonna seek out for them eventually, and when you find them again you'll realize, holy fuck, I missed this, and because it's happened to me when I finally went to an event that was it was veteran, very veteran heavy. Like you said, dude, it's like we all hug each other. Like, oh my gosh, we only see each other once a year, but hey, we're gonna have the greatest time for these hours, dude. And like you said, it was at the end of the event, I felt some kind of way. I literally had a pit in my chest, dude. And I looked at my wife and I said, I'm sad that this has to end, because I never felt so alive hanging out with all these people. Like like it, like really revigorated me and made me feel like alive again, so to speak. It brought that light back out of me. So I know that sometimes there's people out there that like disassociate themselves, want to push themselves away, and that's fine. Take your time. You'll find us, and we're always going to be here for y'all. But dude, you keep doing what you're doing, brother, because we really need you. You're a amazing leader. You, you don't just talk the talk, you walk the walk as well, and that's why you said you're a gunnery sergeant that gets in. You work. You
I'm a good at
also,
work.
bro, you've gone and got your education. That's fucking huge. To go get your master's degree on top, and that's not just a bachelor's degree. This motherfucker went for his master's, and has a family, and is still holding it down, and then still also being a part of you know the veteran community. It's awesome, bro. We need a lot more Jonas the Mad Hatters out there. And is there anything else you want to say, bro? I mean, we always got a lot to say,
I
but
know. I know.
I absolutely love having you on, man. Um, you make me proud, bro. You always make me proud to be a Marine, and it just goes to show that the core is still just as badass. When we got motherfuckers like you serving and representing.
I think right now, thanks to social media and everything, I think the Marine Corps is doing like in a stage of more awareness on the veteran community, and I see a lot of the outreach that goes on with active duty and everything else. But at no point should you be like locked up in a barracks room, or there's so much, right? And you need to find a way to pop the bubble. Like what's beyond the fence? Like what's beyond, right? The only reason why I continue pushing on is like the stuff that I notice, and like, hey, I should maybe look more into this, or I should look into that. Like, what do I need to better prepare myself? Because at the end of the day, us as Marines, we get trained from day one. You have to be ready. it shouldn't change when you get out. You need to be ready, right? And we always talk about readiness, 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 but not because we decide to transition out, or we need to start doing the planning of like, what do I need to get ready so that way once I get out, I don't find myself in, you know, unaware of the situation, right? What tools am I going to be bringing? That's why I did my master's degree. That's why I'm reaching out to the veteran community and creating basically a family, right? Outside of this, when I went to my when I had my daughter get baptized this year, because I didn't mention it, who were the people that were there with my daughter getting baptized? It wasn't any of my active duty folks. It was all the veteran community that was there, like legit. They were
Yeah.
there. All the
Yeah.
guys that are from IW, they were there. You have to build a home, right? You have to find a way to build a home, right? Yes, the Marine Corps is going to be there. The institution will always be there. But at some point, the institution is going to push you out. You need to find a home. You have to build a home and be ready wherever you go. And that's the best advice I can give anyone, regardless if you're going to do 4 years, regardless if you're going to do 20 years, or if you're going to do 30 years. You cannot live in a bubble like, I will leave that for tomorrow. No, like, tomorrow's today.
It
Tomorrow
comes up
is
quick.
today.
Tomorrow comes up hella quick.
Yes.
And that's the other thing, dude, is in a blink of an eye, you can be done with your 20 years. And you couldn't have put it in a better way, though, building another home, right? So, yeah, we got stability there, but you got to build your house on the outside. So when you get out, you have something, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a home, but like a plan, like, uh, go find yourself a job or start looking into jobs that you want to do, because not everything that we do in the Marine Corps is going to translate to when you get out, right? So, um, bro, I think you're doing a great thing, man, and you're on a great trajectory. And um, I gotta say, I think out of all the veterans and even active duty, you are the most well prepared person I've ever seen so far. And I think that there's a lot to be learned from you in a lot of manners. And we'll see how this all plays out for you, right? When you go to retire, and
Yeah.
we'll go see if how well of a soft landing you prepared yourself for, because some of us fucking hit it smacking hard, man. and
Yeah.
and and like some guys just can't adjust, and unfortunately succumb to their demons and stuff like that. So we don't want that to happen, and hopefully, people can learn, from you or just from others, us talking about it. But damn, bro, I think sheesh, we almost made it, hour and 50, almost 2 hours. This is going to be the longest one for the season for sure. I'm sure people might have to listen to this, pause and play, and
Hey, if you're
but
doing long travel, like, hey, this
this is
is
a
it.
great one. Anyway, go play any of our past interviews. I think we did have one that was 1 hour. I should have wrote down how long each of them were, because it would be funny to see how many hours we've gone consecutively now. But dude, you're amazing, dude. And like I said, it wouldn't be a normal season for Every Day's a Saturday without you being on it. And you're just my honorary guest. And we're gonna stay in tune with you, bro, because like I said, there's a lot to be learned from you. And send me, keep sending me those videos of the River Warriors hikes and stuff, and I'll try to show them on here as well, because I think those kind of things are great events, man. Anytime you can bring veterans together and just have a good time and shoot the shit, uh, you know, you know,
Hey,
chip a couple of them while they're walking. I mean, good times, dog.
absolutely, man.
But hey, brother, thanks again. And is there anything else you want to say?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm pretty sure some people want to be like, oh, it's been 2 hours.
Yeah. All right, brother. Well, thanks again, man, and stay tight, and I'll be right back there. Enjoy the
All right.
crayons. All right, friends and fam. Well, hell, how we do it. We like to have those long ones every once in a while. Give you guys a little something to listen to on your drive. Hope you guys are having an amazing year. Like I said, also started a new segment, Coffee Talk with Bryan. That's where I kind of talk about all the different things that I've kind of experienced while being on the podcast, talking about mental health. Talking about stories of resilience, things of those type of things. And you also get to know a little bit more about me. I did one with some funny stories, so you get a little bit of a laugh on me. But anyhow, hope you guys have an amazing day out there. Don't let the day kick your ass. Make sure you're out there kicking it. Till next time, we'll see you guys.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.